Now, I want to go to the plight of our farmers now, and I'm joined from the Western Australian town of York by Tony Seabrook from the Western Australian Pastoralists and Graziers Association. Thanks for joining us, Tony. First up, more moves from China blocking all sorts of agricultural produce from Australia. It's a hell of a worry, and it creates not just the overt threat and implications, but enormous doubts virtually across all sectors.
Yeah, Chris, I'm a barley grower, and we took the first hit. They put that embargo or that tariff of 81% on Australian barley, which basically threw us out of the marketplace. So that was the first sort of shot they fired. Whether they didn't feel they got enough of a reaction from the government over that, I'm not sure, but they're certainly coming at us again.
Yeah, so what can you do to prepare for this, to combat this? Because they're often just slapping bans on produce as it arrives in China, and then suddenly you think you've got a deal and the whole trade falls over. Just how much of a threat is this, and what can you do to cut it off?
Well, what we can do is not really very much. They're out to do us economic harm. There's no doubt about that, and there are reasons why they want to harm us. They want to quieten us down. They want to stop us from criticising them doing the things that we as a free nation don't feel they should be doing. And the way they're doing it is to hit the one industry that they can actually basically go elsewhere to source other supplies. They wouldn't hit iron ore, I wouldn't think, because that's just too important to them. But they're just out to bring pressure to bear on agriculture in the hope that we might actually bring pressure to bear on the government. And they've completely miscalculated. The mood out here in the bush amongst producers is one of absolute fury. And words like they can go and get stuffed is the way a lot of producers feel. We are a nation that stands on our values, and we should stand on those values. And I don't think they've got the reaction from us they were hoping for.
Yeah, well, that's a fascinating reaction to hear, because we often hear a bit of kowtowing to China from your state in particular, from the resources sector, but you're saying that there's not a push on the federal government to sort of pull back from what we've been saying about China. You support what the Prime Minister and Foreign Minister have been doing?
Chris, how could we not? When you see those students in Hong Kong protesting in the way they did, in the way that they got sort of belted into the ground, when you see the bases they're building in the South China Sea. And we have a real need here to have a good, strong trading relationship with China. We thought we had that. We are a reliable supplier of very good product. We needed them to be a reliable sort of source or market for that product. We should be, as a nation, and the Chinese should recognise this, have the right to stand up for what we believe in. And yet it ought not to be something that is punished in the way they're out to punish us. And certainly, although this is not mandated by government yet, it hasn't happened, the very serious threat against a whole raft of Australian exports, and they've cost the crayfishing industry a huge amount of money with spoiled product, but it hasn't actually been a government act yet. They haven't actually totally shut it down. It's the threat that they might at any moment just shut down the trade and hurt themselves as much as they'll ever hurt us.
Donald Trump has been pretty robust in his tackling of China, of Beijing, on a range of issues. Sounds like the dogs want to get out for a run around there, Tony. But do you fear that Joe Biden might be a bit weaker on China, or do you think it might be a chance to reset and maybe make some progress?
Look, America's brought a lot of pressure to bear on the Chinese government to equalise the trade imbalance. And so it's not hard for the Chinese to tell us that we can basically look after our own products, market them where we can while they source that product from America. But one of the reasons given, and I had a briefing at a sort of top level with the Department of Agriculture in Canberra, that the Chinese government believe that we've been doing US bidding, that we've been interfering in their space, and they're out to change our erroneous ways. And within government circles here, there's a real concern that this hasn't peaked yet, that it's got a way to go before it'll be over. But look, we have partners in China. They're going to do huge economic damage to a lot of traders that are part of this very important trade to Australia. They'll hurt themselves enormously. We will find other markets. There's no shadow of doubt about that. We might need some government help to open up the doors, but we will find other markets. And it may be that this has come at a right time. Maybe it is time that we recognise that our dependence on China is far too much. And maybe we need to really consider we need to go elsewhere, because they're just proving themselves to be an unreliable customer.
Tony, thanks so much for joining us.
Chris, thank you very much.
Tony Seabrook there. What I didn't get time to talk to him about was the labour shortages in agricultural industries across Australia. You would have read about this. Even though we've got so many people on JobKeeper and JobSeeker, there are all sorts of agricultural industries in this country that are light on for labour because we don't have tourists coming through and backpackers coming through and doing fruit picking and the like. So if you know anybody, if you're sitting around on Job Seeker and the opportunity is there, get out and about into our agricultural areas. There is lots of work coming up over the summer months. Hopefully we can do that. It seems such a pity when we have so many people idle that we have this labour shortage.